right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Nerds Who Drink. I'm Steve,
I'm Mark.
and guys, this week we are visited by a Mark choice, honestly. So, since it is yours, I'm going to let you do the intro and tell us about your beer.
All right, guys. This week we got from DuClaw Brewing Company in Ewing, New Jersey. It's called Sour Me Unicorn Farts. It is a glittered sour ale. To be honest, I really just kind of went with what caught my eye. There was a couple different cans. Clearly, it kind of got this like very bright pink font. Obviously, like a little cartoon of a unicorn on it that honestly looks like probably like a seventh or eighth grader drew it.
I love it. I
It's
do love it.
Yeah, I mean it's a 5.5% alcohol IPA, so
So
or sour ale, not an IPA. I'm sorry. So
it says it tastes like fruity cereal, which is awesome, and it actually has edible glitter in it, so I'm excited to see this. So, let's give the bad boy a crack. Oh, yeah, that's nice. It smells good. And guys, we are tasting our new beer in some fancy new Mandalorian mugs that I just picked up from Disney for us. So I'm very excited to taste what we got this week. I'm not seeing glitter, but I'm also just pouring it. So, um, but yeah, as I said, I was in Disney this past week. Spent a decent amount of time at Hollywood Studios checking out some of the new stuff in Star Wars, Galaxy's Edge. So I personally love being down there. I go there a couple times a year. I know, Mark, you're a big fan of Disney and the trips as well. Uh, so some of the big stuff that I've noticed that they've recently released are the new Kyber crystals, which I picked up a few of them, mostly in a hopes to get like a Ben Solo or a Kylo Ren, because even though I don't necessarily like the last three movies, it's one of those ones that's like hard to get. So obviously, as a collector of things, I feel like I need to grab it. So that's just the collector in me. But I ended up with Darth Maul and Cal Kestis, which are two pretty top tier Kyber crystals to get regardless. So I was excited about that. And
well, it's nice too because you actually have both of their sabers.
I do. I do. I spent way too much money on fucking lightsabers. We're going to start doing like a saber Sunday or some shit so I can start showing them off. It'll just be fun. All right, guys, we're going to give our first big sip here. Cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Well, it's solid. I like it.
That is very good.
That definitely has a nice like sour kick to it. So
It's got like no bite.
no, it's good. It's good. It's nice. It's smooth.
It's good.
It is good. So, when was the last time you were in Disney? It was what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, it would
About?
have been probably like the end of 2022.
Okay. So since then, obviously,
Moana Land was under construction. They
That's
had
now up.
not changed over Splash Mountain yet.
that just actually it opened up today for pass holders. So I missed it by a day, which is kind of sad. But I was down there for like the content creator opening and stuff like that, so it was kind of cool. But Tiana's Bayou is definitely a big update that they have down there, so it's exciting to see all the stuff that Disney's coming up with. Whether you're a Disney person or not, Star Wars is now owned by them, so here we are. They got a lot of really cool stuff in Star Wars. So as a fan and as somebody that like, I would say that is my nerd niche, is Star Wars, maybe Marvel. But that is so much fun being there because it really is like you're on a different planet. They talk about it like it's a different planet. They treat you like you're on another planet, which is kind of cool. I love being there. Just the immersiveness of the Galaxy's Edge. So when you were down there last, what was probably like your favorite thing that you did?
So we did both Disney and Universal.
Okay.
So, I mean, light years and light years away, the two best rides down there is definitely Rise of the Resistance and the Guardians.
Oh, yeah, Guardians is awesome.
Those are probably the two like top tier. I mean, obviously you have your classics, you have your Space Mountain and all that kind of stuff. But as far as just like sheer enjoyment, like Danielle, she's a fan of Star Wars, but not a fan like we.
Yeah.
And even she like she was cool with like, yeah, like if you want to do that one again, like let's go. Like
Yeah, I love them. I mean, Rise of the Resistance is awesome. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, another great ride. I feel like they're just like hitting it out of the park with each of these rides. They actually just did an update to Star Tours, which is one of the like original Star Wars rides
That's
that
the
was
one
down
in
there.
the AT-AT, right?
What's that?
That's the one that's in the
Yeah,
AT-AT,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's like technically before you get into Galaxy's Edge because it was made 35 years ago almost at this
Right.
point. And I mean it was a classic ride, way ahead of its time, you know. And they just did some updates now, so you're also getting Ahsoka Tano, like Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka Tano. You're seeing the space whales, the light speed whales. I
Yeah, I
forget
can't think
exactly
of
what
it.
they're
I
called.
can't forget. I forget their name.
And you have, I think there's also Mandalorians in there. You have just a bunch of references to like newer stuff that we see on Disney Plus now that we're seeing currently in the new Star Wars. The Dave Filoni Star Wars. So I love that aspect of it, like that these rides are able to be updated and relayed to like the current watchers and viewers, because for some people that might be their introduction to Star Wars.
Right.
They might be a Rosario Dawson fan, and it's like, oh, let me check this out. And now that's their like first step in the door to a new genre. So, we never gatekeep anything over here. So I think that is awesome that they keep everything relevant. Obviously, Disney does what they do, and because of their updated Kyber crystals, I needed to buy those because they have a new casing on them, and
Of course.
they're just awesome. And they have new holocrons, which I had to stop myself from buying because I couldn't justify another $100 for those. Maybe next time. Uh, we'll see. But again, like it's just there's so much cool stuff there. They have the Wayfinders from the sequel trilogy, and just so many really cool little nuanced items. I love going to Oga's Cantina, which is where I get most of my sweet little mugs from in the bar.
Yeah, I took a bunch of the coasters.
Oh
when
yeah,
we
I
went
got
there.
a fucking ton of them. It's awesome. The bartenders are always super cool. But
I
now
got
they actually
the
have
same thing you got too.
the
The
Rancor.
Rancor teeth.
Oh, they're so cool. I love the Rancor teeth. They now have a walk-up bar, so you
Oh,
can like
do they?
walk up, you pop in real quick, and you leave. It's just like a little spot on the bar. It's for people that they're just pumping out extra money that way, because in reality they're hardly ever like fully packed. So if you leave a two-person space open at the bar and you send two people at a time to get up to two drinks to fucking leave with,
Why
you're
not?
just constantly flowing people in that would
Right.
otherwise be passing by this bar.
Or just sitting outside getting angrier for the next couple, like 5 hours. I know when we were down there,
Oh, it's a wait.
yeah, like we had a reservation and I think we still ended up waiting like 15 to 20
Yep.
minutes to get in there.
Oh, it's worth it though. It's one
Oh,
of those.
so much worth.
It's one of
So
those
worth it.
places that like, if you have the opportunity to experience it, do it. It is so much fun. It's it's immersive, just like everything else. And it's just one of those things where the drinks are good. You can only get certain drinks in Galaxy's Edge, so I love that concept. I really do. I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. I guess that's just again my take as like a huge Disney nerd.
Dude, I
But
wish I could afford to go to Disney more, honestly.
I'll be honest with you, if it wasn't for the annual pass, it would cost me like $1 million a year. But yeah, that is my saving grace right now, is the fact that I can basically go whenever for one fixed price. But I guess pivoting, since we're talking a little Star Wars, what did you think of the first couple episodes of The Acolyte? Because I know
So
we had talked on our last episode about what we thought was
it
going
was
to
gonna be.
happen. Yes.
So have you watched episode 3?
I have not, and
Okay.
yeah.
I just
So
wanted to know how much to spoil and or not spoil.
yeah, so we're gonna avoid episode 3. I'm watching that today, but hit me with your first 2 episodes.
All right. So the only thing I will say is episode 3 kind of goes a different path. So
Okay.
the entire episode
Fucking A.
is what
All right.
happened when they were kids.
All right, I'll take it.
So it's not like we're gonna jump back and forth between past and present like places do. It's like, look, this is Osha and May as kids, and this is what happened on their home world.
Okay, I'm gonna appreciate that.
But as far as the first 2 episodes go, I mean, I'm trying to think how to explain it, because it's one of those things where at first I kind of felt a certain way, but then after watching episode 3, I kind of understood how it could be possible. Because the first 2 episodes, the whole time, the only thing I'm thinking is like, they're just trying to like power scale them to basically Anakin. Like, you got these two girls. Well, you find out that it's two girls. Number one, not a fan of the evil twin arc again. Just like every single other thing.
I
Like,
get that.
I would have much rather had it been like blacking in and out kind of a thing. Like then
She was unaware that she was doing it.
not even that she was unaware, because I know they show her kill Master in
Indara.
Indara. Then it cuts right to her, and the guy's like, "Oh, like where were you?" And she's like, "Don't worry about what I do on my days off or whatever." So I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like, okay, we just got an undercover badass. I'm cool with that.
I was very excited for that.
But then it's like that was the only line that kind of referenced it, and then next thing you know, they're dropping that, "Oh, your sister might still be alive." I'm like, here we go. Like, it's a evil twin thing, and now like as the show goes on, you see it's kind of like a yin and a yang kind of thing, because like even episode 3, even when they're younger, like Osha was like the calm, like open-minded, wants to see the world kind, and May was the very, we need to be like loyal to our people, this and that. And you'll see that in like episode 3. But then when I watched episode 3, because that was my original thing, was like, okay, they're just trying to scale them to Anakin, because it's like these girls, according to them, have no training, or Osha has very little.
Yeah.
She never completed, but yet this girl's just murking Jedi Masters
Yeah.
during the High Republic era.
Yeah, when Jedi were like at their peak.
Right. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, like Anakin couldn't even really take out Dooku like by himself. And here's this girl that's younger than him taking out aged Jedis, not just one Jedi, multiple Jedi Masters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and doesn't even use a saber. She uses like knives and a force. But the angle that they're going with it, I'm not as aggravated about it, because I think they're foreshadowing like lineage in the next episode that you'll watch. That
I'm okay with that.
That you'll kind of you'll understand what I'm trying to say in my coded phrases. For those of you listeners who watched episode 3, you should be picking up what I'm putting down.
But by the time the episode drops, I will have watched episode 3. So we're definitely. I mean, I'm excited about the High Republic era because it's not the Skywalker saga. That is, I think, the biggest thing for me. Like, don't get me wrong, you have 9 movies that Skywalker is referenced in, and I'm cool with that. I love Anakin, Luke, Leia, the whole 9. Fuck Rey. She's not a real Skywalker. I don't care what she says. But this is different. Star Wars is such a vast universe, and I know we talked about this last episode, that like you could literally do anything about anyone, and it's relevant. You can make it a canon story. So why stick to one tiny corner of the fucking universe? This is what I like. Yes, not a huge fan of the twin thing. I was kind of hoping, similar to you, like it was this girl who was just like, the Jedi turned on me, and I hate them. But I haven't seen episode 3.
Sheep's clothing.
Exactly, I haven't seen episode 3 yet. But I feel like Osha was up. So
yeah, let me hear your thoughts, since you're further behind than I am technically.
I have 3 fan theories right now.
Okay.
So one, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to remember them all because I had them like on the airplane. But one of them is Osha thought May died, and May thought Osha died. So they separated them on purpose, but the Jedi all technically knew that they were both still alive. And it was because they saw May's connection, they saw Osha's connection to May as a threat, as like a bad thing, because you're not supposed to have a connection to anyone or love anyone. And then they saw the darkness in May, and they kept her separate. And then one of the Jedi Masters turned and became her master, and she became his apprentice. That was kind of 2 of the theories sort of mashed into one. And then my other theory is that none of the Jedi knew that May was alive. And they really like dug in deep that like Osha, your sister's dead, and hoping that because she now has no connection, she would become an extremely strong Force user. I guess you could say akin to Anakin, but like, throw all the Skywalker shit away. I want new, I want fresh. Well, I guess we'll see with episodes for me, episode 3, and then for us, episode 4, and so on. I'm sure this is going to be like an 8-episode arc. That's what like
That's my
all the Disney
assumption.
shit is now. It's pretty much everything. Like, if you look at fucking Netflix, Hulu, etc. Unless it's like a TV series that's on TV. If it's like a streaming series only, it's 8 episodes. That's just my go-to with like everything. But yeah, I like it so far. I love the concept of it. The fact that the Jedi are held to like such a high regard. But also, again, so, just make the correlation to like the police, right? They're essentially the space police. There are still people that don't like them, regardless of how good they are, regardless of if they do the good thing, people hate them.
Well, it's one of those things where good is a point of view.
Absolutely.
So with the Jedi, like to quote, I know we keep coming back to him, but to quote Anakin, like from my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like so, depending on how you look at how things transpire, like you're always going to have one opposing side versus another.
Oh, 100%. And I'm cool with that. I like seeing that, and that the fact that even though the Jedi think that they are like the all-seeing, evil protector people, like not everyone views them like that. Like they're in order to be good, there has to be evil.
Right.
So like that's just how the world works, and I'm a huge fan of the series so far. And there's a lot of criticism back and forth. I don't know. Is there stuff I could say about it that I don't like? Sure, but I think overall, out of 10, I'll probably give it like a 7.5 and an 8 so far.
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of want to touch on what you were saying about like the Jedi part, because like I said, this whole episode it's just them as kids.
Okay.
So like I don't know anything more than what you know as far as the Jedi in the future. So one of my fan theories, because who do you think the new Sith is? Do you think it's just a whole new character? Because once I found out there were sisters, and then they brought up like, oh, like their mothers died in the fire. I'm thinking it might be of the one of the parents, and that was my initial thought. Was like, you know what, like, could be.
You think one of the parents was evil and that's why they died?
Well, no, no, no. I just think that, like you said, like I don't know if they knew about May or not. Like clearly they knew that Osha lived because she became a Jedi, and clearly like at least one Jedi I think knew. I think Saul was the only one that might have known May,
No, the dude,
but
the guy that was he took the vow of silence. He knew who May was.
they all seem to know because even Indara says, "What are you like? How is it you? What are you doing here?"
See, that was confusing for me because I thought, so she says unidentified force user, and then I think she thinks that it's OSHA. And again, I could be wrong.
I got that she thought it was Osha, but then realized it was May.
Which is possible. Again, at the end of the day, I feel like the Jedi knew. Because the Jedi are not exactly the most forthcoming people.
Right.
I mean, let's look at like Luke and Leia.
Oh, they didn't know shit.
I mean,
Bro, they were like 5 minutes of the movie away from being from Alabama and not from outer space. Before somebody was finally like, yo, guys, you guys are
oh no,
brother and
I'm not even
sister.
talking about that. I'm talking about when they were born.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh
They
yeah,
were very
no,
hush hush. I thought you were just saying the fact that like nobody told them about each other.
no. What I'm saying, like they fucking took 2 kids. They were like, all right, one kid's gonna grow up as a fucking god, and the other one's gonna grow up as a farmer boy.
Yeah.
And like they're like, yeah, fuck you, Luke. But again, they didn't tell anybody that, and I understand the point. Like it was supposed to hide it from
Vader,
et cetera, et cetera. But like the point is that they had the opportunity to tell people, and they chose not to. So they very well fucking could have taken another set of twins and split them the fuck up and told nobody.
Right.
So like I'm not gonna put it past them.
Oh, yeah, no. And like I said, like if this new episode is trending the way that I think it is, so when you do watch it, shoot me a text of what you think.
Absolutely.
Because the way it's trending, I feel like I kind of figured out who like they might be, like who their descendants might be.
Oh, like, who they are, like
The origin of,
okay,
like original of
okay,
in the newer. But to circle back real quick. I agree with you. We need to get away from like the Skywalker stuff. Like that's fine. Like if you're gonna do something like the Mandalorian, where like it's just a really quick like, hey, Luke showed up,
Yep.
sliced up some people, took Grogu and trained him. Okay, that's fine. It
Yep.
didn't focus on Luke.
We can touch on stuff. I'm just so, and again, I'm not sick of it because like it was a great story.
It's
George
just been
Lucas,
told.
correct. George Lucas killed it. He knocked it out of the park. We're talking about a fucking universe that has existed for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. You could write future shit. Because guess what? It's fucking made up. None of us know what did or didn't happen. So I can't tell you you're wrong. But like we had episodes 1, 2, and 3. We had the Clone Wars. We had Rebels. We had the Bad Batch. We have the fucking Tales of the fucking Republic and Empire and like all that bullshit and all these books and lore and canon and non-canon, and most of it revolved around the Skywalker saga.
All I know is I need a live action Star Killer.
Listen, I 100.
He'd be OP, and yes, I get you would have to nerf him, but
Even,
like
but even still, like if you could get
it has,
Sam Witwer to be live action Star Killer before he gets too old.
dude. Yeah, like it would be
I
perfect.
mean, obviously he played the face and the voice of, and like that's a fucking awesome character. I would love to see that personally. I love that the game series on Xbox, and I'm sure it probably came out on other stuff too. But like I played on Xbox 360. The Force Unleashed was such a fucking cool concept.
Vader has a secret apprentice. He's hiding from the Emperor.
Yeah, and like they're clones. So like we know how it works on Camino. We're fucking cloning shit.
Well, the one's a clone. In the first game, you're actually him. In the
Yeah.
second game, depending on which ending you pick, you may or may not be him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what I would like? Uh, Knights of the Old Republic. Like, give me like a story, like a
I
couple
would
seasons,
love.
because again, that's one of those games where like you could choose the light side, you could choose the dark side. You wake up, you don't know who the fuck you are. You know, it's one of those things where it's a cool story. Like, I know the story, I know the ending, but I would love to see it told live action.
Right. No, I'm 100% with you. Because what I was going to say is there's 2, maybe 3 more movies that you could do that take place in the Skywalker timeline. Number 1, give me just a straight up Rogue One Vader and the time periods between like episodes 4 and 5.
Okay.
Or even between like 3 and 4. Well, no, because 3 covers Rogue One pretty much is 3 and 4. So between 4 and 5. So when the Death Star gets blown up and he goes out into space, because correct me if I'm wrong in the comments or whatever else, but I'm pretty sure that literally Vader just got like rocketed into space and basically like could feel Obi-Wan through the Force and was just planet hopping, murdering Jedi his whole way back.
Yeah, I mean
Like
that
just
would,
leaving a trail of bodies.
even if you gave me like an animated series of that, I know it would kind of like take away from the seriousness of it. But like a Star Wars Visions, or a Rebels style, or a Clone Wars style of that would be awesome. Because obviously I understand that like you know Hayden Christensen's not always available. Maybe I don't. Maybe he is. I have no fucking clue what his days are like. But let's be real. That'd be a fucking dope ass series to make. I'd watch it just as like, okay, so the Death Star gets blown up. Now Vader's just like, all right, we're on planet number 1, and there's 10 Jedi, and Vader's just gonna kill them all.
Yeah, and that's what I like. That's the kind of stuff that like you could do that. You could give us a Grievous prequel.
I want to see that. I would love to see a Maul origin story. Again, I know he's one of my favorite characters.
See, I feel like Maul would just be like what more can you really tell that Clone Wars didn't?
And again, that's fair. I just live action like that was he is such an artist, Ray Park.
Now, I think it would be awesome if they did, because I have heard rumors that they're thinking about doing a live action Clone Wars. If you do, I would love for them to only do, like, have the movie basically just be the final season. So,
That's
Ahsoka
fair.
fighting Maul on Mandalore and, like, all of that kind of stuff. And I think that would be, like, chef's kiss out of the park.
Absolutely. And if they do it almost like to a T of Clone Wars, because I mean, that show was almost without flaw.
Right.
It was such a good series. I loved it. It really kind of bridged that gap between the movies that you needed. I want to say needed, but yeah, it really kind of played up everything. And again, if we're gonna do this kind of stuff, we need to do it like before these people get too old. If
Right.
I'm being completely honest, but who am I?
Well,
I'm
I
no
have
fucking
heard.
no director.
I was reading the other day that apparently they do want to do a Knights of the Republic series.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
However, they do not. The I forget who it was. It was one of like the writers on a previous show said they do not want it to pretty much focus on Revan or Darth Malik.
No, fuck. Then what are we focusing on?
I forget her name. It's
No,
Drita or
nope.
something.
Listen,
Drea.
that has nothing to do.
No, but I'm saying though that's who they
Nope.
recommend.
Are
They
you
want the
kidding me?
story to.
When I think when I
I'm just
think of Knights of the Old Republic, Malik is like number one. Revan is a solid number two. Like you play as Malik in fucking Knights of the Old Republic 1. Why? What?
Yep. Nope. They want it to be. I forget her name. It's
No,
Drea or Drea
stop.
or. That's who
See,
they want to focus the story around.
I'm cool with like the female protagonist thing, but like if you're gonna do it, just do it. We already have the source material. Just do it. I loved that game. I would play that game tonight. Tonight, I'll fucking play that game. And I'll play it over and over again, and it's so fucking good. God, that was an amazing. I didn't even know. I mean, like, I knew about Star Wars when I was growing up, and I played it on, like, Xbox, the original. But I did not know nearly as much as I do now. And are you fucking kidding me? I would go back and play it now 100 fucking times. It is so good. Shit, I would 110% do. No, we're gonna fight if they don't do it about Malik or Revan. Either one. Revan is such a cool fucking character. Malik, he's one of those people, like, if you never played the games, you'll never know who he is. But you've probably heard who Revan was, regardless. He's like Darth Vader, who's, again, worldwide. He's a worldwide character, whether you fucking like Star Wars or not. You've heard of the name Vader. So, yeah, I don't know.
But no, that's why I just you know me, like Revan is hands down for me like my hands down favorite Star Wars character. Like Maul's a close second, Vader's right in there too. And clearly there's a pattern that
They're all evil.
I always like the bad guys, but
Evil.
you good?
Evil. That was the Mermaid
The
Man.
Mermaid Man. Evil. But but no, I mean, I would love a Knights of the Old Republic series. Like
If you can give me a refurbished game,
I
I'd
say,
be
even
cool with
just give me a new game.
that would be fucking cool.
Like look at the way that's like Marvel is builds like the Spider Verse. Like you have Spider-Man, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and then Spider-Man 2. You got Into the Spider-Verse. You have Homecoming and all that kind of stuff. Like they're hitting so many platforms that it's like you could pretty much get something. I mean, prior to Disney owning Marvel, like Spider-Man was the in thing. But like now it's like literally on every kind of platform, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I'm almost done playing Spider-Man 2. I'm on
It's
literally
a
the
great
last
game.
level.
It's a great game, and I'll tell you the
I just found the time to get back into it, and I was at 43% Monday night.
fair.
I am at 97% now.
That's fair. I love
2
the
days
game.
later.
I think I'm close to like 40 something, 50 maybe now. It's just one of those games where like I wish I just had more time. I work so much, and the kids and
That was
life, and yeah. So for me, it was very much. I loved the games. I loved the first two, so I had to get the third one. And I wish I just had more time to play it because the dynamic of the game is so fucking amazing. Insomniac absolutely crushed it. I cannot say a bad thing about it. So, yeah, I mean, for me, it's one of those like, wow. And again, if they did more games like that, I would buy more games because I bought the Avengers game and I thought that was fucking horrible.
The Avengers game was, it's funny. On a related note, I bought the Suicide Squad game thinking like, oh, this is gonna be great, and it's not a. It's not a bad game, but it's not a good game.
Well, so I think it was free on PS5. I got Gotham Knights. Not great.
Yeah,
And
I heard weird things about that game.
and the same thing with like the Midnight Suns. You could do so much better. Marvel, DC, fucking do better. Make cooler games.
Especially when you have the Arkham series right there at your fingertips. Especially DC, you have the Arkham games right there at your fingertips.
And I
That built an amazing world, had amazing the controls alone were very easy to use. To the straight up fighting in the game is revolutionary, and I mean you see it now in Spider-Man, the same kind of mechanics.
absolutely.
Like the graphics weren't all that bad, even for like the original Arkham Asylum.
So for me, it's one of those things where like we have the technology. I just wish more people were working on it. I know there's a new Star Wars game coming out.
Yeah, but I think
It's
that's
like
more of
an
like a
Unreal
battle.
Engine.
Oh, really? I heard it was more of like a Battlefront kind of a game again.
No, so I've heard both. I heard there's another Battlefront style game coming out, but I also heard there's like an open world one where like you're a character that's essentially just like a new character, and you're traveling and doing different missions. I didn't get too much into it. I saw as I was like scrolling through social media that there was like a little blurb about it. I'm cool with that. I saw there's a Mandalorian game. I think that would be cool if you kind of set it to a
The Boba Fett game was awesome.
yeah. If you made like a Mandalorian style game or even a game, you don't need to make it open world, I guess, or like a
Do more of a God of War, like a linear open world.
yeah.
Like it forces you to go this way, but you can kind of look around while you're
I
going
but
along.
I would also take a very like open world like Starfield, where like you can do whatever the fuck you want, and like there's an end goal long term.
But how you get there.
Yeah, how you get there is up to you. And I think a cool concept would be kind of roll the dice. Like your character is born into whatever faction you sort of wake up into. You don't get to pick. So maybe you're a Jedi, maybe you're a bounty hunter, maybe you're a pilot, maybe you're a fucking a Mandalorian. Who knows? I think that would be such a cool concept because it would really change. Or if you could choose, whatever, do it like Harry Potter. There's 4 houses. You get to pick your house, and then that changes the end goal
story.
of the game. Yeah, it changes the story. I mean, the end goal is essentially the same, but how you get there is how you get there. And I think that would be cool. I would love that kind of concept, but again, I don't make games. So if you're listening and you do make games, here we are. But before we get too crazy into this, next week I do want to talk about a new thing that I don't think I've coined the term necessarily, but the nerd niche, right? So like everyone has their thing that they like. Whether you're actually like a nerd and you're really into like Star Wars and Marvel and Star Trek and DC and this and that and like comic books and movies and the animated series and whatever. And I do not use the term nerd in a derogatory way because we are all nerds in some way. But like, what is your niche? I want to talk about that. Like, really dive into that next week. Like, what is the thing that you relate to the most? Whether it's Lord of the Rings or whether it's Westeros and like the House of Dragon or
That actually starts on Sunday.
exactly that's what I'm saying. Like, there's all of this stuff, but like, what do you go to the most? Like, what is the thing that you relate to the most? And I'm not saying you got to know all of the lore or canon and non-canon stuff, but like,
Can
maybe
I know all of the lore?
absolutely, I would. If we can talk about that, like, I was never really a big Game of Thrones person, so if you are and you want to point me in that direction, awesome. Obviously, I don't need to sway you on Star Wars. I feel like it's mine. That or Marvel. But like, when we started this podcast, I was Marvel, you were DC, and we definitely had our crossover moments. We both loved Star Wars, and that's kind of how we started this. But I think even since then, like things have evolved. We've learned so much more. We've read more. We've talked more. We've played more. And it's one of those things where this is an ever evolving, term. But what is your nerd niche? So I guess tune in next week to find out what our nerd niches are and what we think about different factions of things and I guess our genre preferences. So, last but not least, I'm Steve,
I'm Mark.
and we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks.